I'm going to spend some time going through aspects of the recent regulations. As we know that the Prime Minister would have made an announcement last night with respect to some restrictions on movements. And we know these announcements are public health measures aimed to control and prevent the spread of the coronavirus in the Federation. These measures are provided for and given legal effect by the Health Restriction of Movement Regulations, number 15 of 2021. And Regulation 3 states, a period of restriction of movement is imposed every day from 11 p.m. until 5 a.m. the following day, commencing on Tuesday, 25th May, 2021, and ending on Tuesday, 8th June, 2021. During this period of restriction of movement, every person shall remain confined to your place of residence, inclusive of your yard space, to avoid contact outside of your family, except essential workers who are required to report to work or for essential travel for medical emergencies. Essential workers would include members of the Royal St Christopher and Nevis Police Force, the St Christopher and Nevis Defence Force, the Fire and Rescue Services Department, the National Emergency Management Agency, and the Nevis Disaster Management Agency Department, the National Emergency Operating Center, and the Health Emergency Operating Center, or any other disaster management services. The prisons, correctional facilities, or other similar establishments, any hospital, healthcare, or medical facility, the Customs Department, the Immigration Department, the Ear and Seaports Authority, essential media personnel of a media house, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Attorney General's Chamber, members of Parliament, and the Secretary to the Cabinet, and the government printry. All essential workers shall at all times carry identification and official work identification where possible. Persons who are not essential workers and you are required to move during this period of restriction, you must first obtain approval from the Commissioner of Police to do so. I repeat that, persons other than essential workers, which I just outlined, who are required to move from your home during this period of restricted movement, you shall first obtain approval from the Commissioner of Police to do so. And we have created a website, www.police.kn, where you could submit your application for approval to move. Businesses are required to close their operation at least 1 hour prior to the 11 p.m. restricted movement time. Ferries should make their last trips from either island by 9:30 p.m. I repeat that. Businesses are required to close their operations at least 1 hour prior to the 11 p.m. restricted closing time. So that businesses should be closed by 10 p.m. and ferries should make their last run from either island by 9:30 p.m. The regulation makes provision for penalties for persons who found in violation, and a person found violating these movement of restrictions shall be liable to a fine of $5,000 or not exceeding $5,000 or to a term of imprisonment. There were also some other restrictions that were announced, and these would fall under the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Order. And some of these restrictions are the restriction on public transport. All persons who are traveling on any motor omnibus or any hiring car or passenger ferry, you must at all times wear a mask. I repeat that, all persons who are traveling on any public transport, which include the passenger ferries, they must wear a mask at all times. All windows must remain open or partially open depending on the weather conditions. All persons shall practice good hand hygiene, proper sanitary behavior, and social distancing protocols. The driver, the master, or crew shall ensure that there is no more than 50% passenger capacity on board the vehicle or vessel. I repeat, the driver, the master, or crew shall ensure that there is no more than 50% passenger capacity on board the vehicle or vessel. And the driver, master, or crew shall ensure that sanitization of all doorknobs, handrests is undertaken after each trip. There is also some restrictions on sporting events, contact sports to be specific. No person shall attend sports training or practice sessions for amateur or other recreational sporting events. Of course, there is some exception that is made for the upcoming World Cup qualifier games scheduled for June 4th. Persons who contravene or fail to comply with the provisions of this order shall be liable to a fine not exceeding, again, $5,000. We remind the general public that these measures are public health measures designed to prevent the spread of the coronavirus, and so we anticipate your full cooperation in the adherence to these measures. The compliance team would be working very closely with the police and would be enforcing these measures. I've been asked questions time after time about tickets. I'm pleased to announce that we now have the ticket books on hand. They have been distributed, and so effective tomorrow, persons would be liable to be ticketed for any breach of these protocols that I've just outlined. If your passenger bus is carrying more than 50% passenger capacity, the driver would be liable to be ticketed. If the passengers are not wearing masks on the bus, the passengers would be liable to be ticketed. If you are not practicing social distancing, if you are not practicing the sanitization measures, then you will be liable also to be ticketed. The fines ranges from $100 up to $500. And so we ask that persons avoid these fines. We have delayed the use of these tickets for quite a long time. It means that we do not want to use them. So just comply with the regulations and the protocols, and we will not have to use the tickets.